Okay, welcome. It's July 14th in the afternoon. I'm again talking to you from our office in Sacramento. We've just finished a very long session here, getting a number of bills out. This is sort of a turning point in our process, having gotten a budget passed finally, and having it balanced, but with challenges. We still have a projected shortfall of $5 billion, but keep in mind we took from $25 billion to $5 billion with the prospect, if the economy continues to recover, and I think we're all on eggshells about that, we can actually overcome that deficit. But we've got a lot of challenges in the budget, but there is a time, and it's a time where we've had some accomplishment in getting the budget passed and dropping the deficit to move on to more long-term changes, systemic changes, I believe, that are important here for Sacramento, but for California. And many of you have heard me talk before about reform and the need for reform. So two important bills that I'm involved with. One is a co-author with my seatmate and good friend Senator Lois Wolk from Davis on performance-based budgeting. Performance-based budgeting is something that's been tried all over the world, both in the private sector and the public sector, and it actually started in California 20 years ago for the public sector in the city of Sunnyvale. Much written about and researched about reinventing government, and that was about requiring departments and divisions in the public sector to actually have outcomes and measurements to see how they're doing, to see how we're doing in your investment in the public sector through taxes and fees. It can be as simple as measuring DMV, the Department of Motor Vehicles, and how long their lines are at their stations, at their offices around the state, trying to drop them so that it's more acceptable to the public, things that companies like Safeway currently does, and many companies in the retail industry do. And then maybe a similar thing is making sure that as much as we can do things, again, at the Department of Motor Vehicles, is done electronically in a cheap and efficient way that has good outcomes. So measuring things in a way that's more quantifiable. It's very important. We just had a 3-hour hearing on that bill in a subcommittee of the Assembly Budget Committee, chaired by the chair of the Assembly Budget, Assemblymember Blumenfield from Los Angeles. The second bill that I'm author of is going to multi-year budgeting. Right now we are in a budget that goes every fiscal year. It's one of the reasons, in my view, we get stuck in this awful process of never getting a budget done on time. So that my bill would change that every year on October 15th, the governor would have to do projections for the coming year, the fiscal year running from mid-calendar year to mid-calendar year. But when they do that first year, they'd have to do the second year. And then they'd have to do 5-year projections on both revenue and expenditures so that we could anticipate those and correct those in a more thoughtful way. It also require an analysis of what we do in the budget to the larger economy and its effect on you. We might have to contract out with really thoughtful research programs within the University of California, like at UCLA, a nationally respected school down there that does a lot of research on how the economy is doing. So that's important. Another component of it is if the administration wants to increase a program or if they want to cut revenue, there has to be an analysis of what that means in terms of other departments and service, or what that means if we're cutting revenue in terms of other prospective costs or a drop in the quality of service. All of those things lead, I think, to a more transparent, open process that we and elected officials in a term-limited world can have more information to base our decisions on, and it'll all be done in a more transparent way, open way, with more public hearings so the public can understand it. So there's great opportunity, I think, here in Sacramento. Many of these things have been tried before, but in all cultures, change can be a challenge. Change isn't necessarily good, but change is definitely needed, in my view and many experts' view, in how we do our fiscal policy here in the state of California. Expecting more performance from everyone who's a public worker, expecting more outcomes and analysis and more thoughtfulness in terms of how we spend your tax dollars, which after all are for all of us some of the biggest investment we'll make in our lifetime. So all of these things I'm pretty excited about, that there's a potential for change. There seems to be a willingness to look at these things in Sacramento, and we think will lead to a better, higher quality of life for Californians for generations to come. So with that, hopefully I will be back with you in a week, if not in a couple weeks. The next few weeks, as we are taking a break here in Sacramento, I will be in the district, a lot of time in the district office in Walnut Creek, and a lot of time out at public hearings, both for school districts, city councils, Rotary clubs, things that I very much enjoy doing. If you want to get a calendar for any of those events, please contact our office in Walnut Creek, and they'd be happy to give those events, the time and the place for those events to you. In the meantime, I hope you're having a wonderful summer holiday, and I really hope and pray that the economy continues to get better for you, for your loved ones, and for California. Thanks.